Welcome, children. Take out your Real English book, Part 6, Chapter 3, A Wise Lesson. It's a Jewish folk tale. Now, let me start the story. In a town on a remote island lived a God-fearing man whose wife couldn't have children. Now, in a town of remote island means very isolated island where very few people live. Who lived there? A God-fearing man. God-fearing man means a person who fears God, whose wife could not have children, and his wife, she was unable to give birth to children. Now, one day, however, she became pregnant, and the husband, rejoicing in her heart at the glad tidings, said, one day what happened? And she became able to give birth to a child, and her husband happily said, you will give birth to a son who will be comfort of our souls and delight our hearts. Saying that her husband said that she will give birth to a son, and that son will comfort their souls and they make them happy. I will educate him and bring him up well, and he shall inherit my good name and increase my renown. Now, what the husband said that he would make his son educated one, bring him up well, and what he will do? He will inherit his good name and increase his name and fame. Thus spoke the happy potential father, and this way, these things, who spoke? The happy and potential father. That means the father who was going to be his husband who was going to be a father. But his wife replied. His wife, what she replied? You speak foolish words, for the future is unknown to you. Now, but his wife, she replied that you speak all foolish things because you do not know what is going to happen in the future. How do you know that my childbirth is going to go well? Now, how he knows that the childbirth is going to go, everything is going to go well? That I shall give birth to a son and not to a daughter? How he could say that she is going to give birth to a son, not to a daughter? That the child is going to live long, and that he is going to be a robust and healthy, and that son, child will live long, the child will be strong and healthy. You should not spoken such ideal and boasted. You should not speak such type of ideal words and do not speak too much about it, but left everything to God. But what you do? You leave everything in the hands of God, who controls our destiny, who controls our everything, who controls all the events which takes place. I may befall you as it once befell a certain dervish. I may tell you everything. I may going to tell you that happened, and they happened to a certain dervish. When her husband asked her what had happened to the dervish, she told him the following tale. Now when her husband asked her that what had happened to the dervish, the wife told the following story. There was once a dervish in the service of a king. There was once a dervish. Who is a dervish? Dervish is a member of the religious group who keep fast dancing during the time of worship. Now, so one there was a dervish who used to serve the king. The king used to give him a piece of cake and a bowl of honey daily. Now, as the dervish used to do the works of king, so in return, the king used to give him a piece of cake and a bowl of honey every day. Now, the dervish used to eat the cake and put the honey into a jar which he always carried upon him. Dervish, what he used to do? He used to eat the cake and put the honey in a jar, and that jar he used to always carry upon his head. Honey, however, in those days was very expensive. During that time, honey was too costly. One day, the dervish, noticing the jar was nearly full, thought of the high price of this honey would fetch in the market. One day, dervish found that and the jar was almost filled, and he thought that he would sell the honey to the market and then he would earn a huge amount of profit. I am going to sell my honey for a piece of gold and buy 10 sheep. Now the dervish saw that he would sell his honey, and after selling he would get a piece of gold, and then he would buy 10 sheep, all of which is going to give birth to life. And all this, what will happen? They will give birth. All these 10 sheep, that 10 sheep would give birth to lambs. So that in the course of 1 year, I am going to have 20 sheep. And so what will happen? In the course of 1 year, what will happen? He will give that sheep will give, he will have, means the dervish will have 20 sheep. Then for sure their number will increase, steadily increase, and in 4 years I shall be the owner of 400 sheep. Now he became sure that the number will increase, number of the sheep will increase gradually, and within 4 years what will happen? The dervish will become the owner of 400 sheep. I shall then buy a cow and an ox and acquire a piece of land. And after that what he will do? He will buy a cow and ox, and then he will even acquire a piece of land. My cow will give birth to calves. The calves will be useful to me in plowing my land, while the cows will provide me with milk. Now, Dervish thought that his cow will give birth to calves, and the ox, he will use the ox to plow his land, and the cows will give him milk. In 5 years' time, the number of cattle will be increased considerably. Within 5 years, number of cattle will also increase, and I shall be the possessor of great wealth. And Dervish, he will become a great wealthy merchant. I shall then build a magnificent house, acquire slaves and maidservants, and marry a beautiful woman of noble descent. Then what he will do? He will build a very beautiful house. He will have slaves, he will have maidservants, and then marry a very beautiful woman of noble family, from noble family. She will bear me a son, a robust and a beautiful. What will happen? That his wife will give birth to a son, and that son will be a strong and beautiful child. A lucky star will shine at the moment of his birth, and at the time of his son's birth, he will find a lucky star is shining. Will start shining, and he will be happy and blessed. And his son, he will be too happy and blessed, and bring honor to my name after. And after his death, his son will bring no honor to his name. Should he, however, refuse to obey me, I will beat him with this stick. Now, Dervish started thinking that if my son, means the Dervish's son, do not obey him, then what will happen? Dervish will beat him with a stick. And the Dervish was so caught up in his daydream that he raised his stick and hit the jar, and it broke. Now, what the Dervish was doing? He was dreaming. That means he was dreaming in the daytime. So he got up. He was caught up in his daydream in such a way that he raised his stick. He took his stick and hit the jar. And as he hit the jar got broke. The jar of honey along with his daydreamer. Now, jar of honey along with the daydream, everything got lost. I have told you the story, continued the wife of the pious man. Now, he told that, I have told you the story. Who told this? The means wife told to her husband that I have told you the story just to give you a lesson, give you a lesson, that is, it is not wise to speak something that is uncertain. Speaks things that are uncertain. That it is not what is vital, that it is not at all wise that to speak the things which are uncertain, which are uncertain. Remember the words of King Solomon, who said, and to remember the words of King Solomon, do not boast yourself, for you do not know what will happen to be the next. So do not boast yourself, that not talk too much about yourself, that because one do not know what is going to happen at the next moment. Now, let me give you the exercises of this chapter. Exercise A1. Choose the correct answer. Here 3 options are given, and you will have to choose the correct option. Number 1. What hopes did the man have for his son who was yet to be born? Answer. The father hoped that the son would grow up to be a nice man who would bring pride to him. Number 2. What was the reaction of the wife when he heard her husband's plan for their to-be son? Correct answer is, she cautioned her husband not to make plans ahead of time. Number 3. Why did the wife caution her husband about boasting? Answer. Only God knows what will happen in the future. Number 4. What was the similarity between the husband and the dervish? Answer. Both were dreamers. Exercise A2. Complete the following sentences in your own words. Number 1. The dervish began making plans of. Answer is future. Number 2. The dervish broke his jar because. Answer. He was so caught up in his daydream that he raised his stick and hit the jar and it got broke. Number 3. The plans of the dervish and the husband were similar because both were daydreamers. Number 4. The dervish hoped for a better future crashed because. Answer. His jar of honey broke into pieces. Number 5. The lesson that the wife shared with her husband was. Answer. It was not wise to speak of things that are uncertain. And with this, I am ending my today's class. Before that, let me tell you, write all these answers in your classwork copy. In your copy, I will check it later. Make a separate copy for English too, in which you will write all the question answers exercises, and I will check I will check all these things later in your diary. Write the homework. Explained in class, chapter 3 explained in class. Write all the exercises in your CW copy. And with this, I am ending my today's class. Goodbye.